This is the Indian subcontinent, one of the oldest cradles of civilization. For thousands of years, its fertile plains along the Indus River nurtured great cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. But this land of prosperity and culture has also been a crossroad, a frontier where travelers, traders, and warriors crossed paths. Long before Alexander the Great set foot here, the subcontinent had already witnessed the march of foreign peoples. Some came to settle, others to conquer, and still others to raid and retreat. The question is, who were these early intruders, and how did their presence shape the destiny of this land? Around 1500 BCE, a new wave of people entered the subcontinent, the Aryans. Historians debate whether their arrival was a peaceful migration or a series of violent invasions. They came from Central Asia, bringing with them horses, chariots, and a distinct language and culture. Over time, they spread across northern India, shaping what we now call the Vedic civilization. Their hymns, later preserved in the Rigveda, tell us about battles, migrations, and the struggle for dominance. Whether conquerors or settlers, the Aryans transformed the cultural and religious landscape of the subcontinent, leaving a legacy that still echoes today. In the 6th century BCE, the mighty Persian Achaemenid Empire under King Darius I extended its reach into the northwestern subcontinent. The provinces of Gandhara and parts of Punjab were absorbed into the Persian realm. For the first time, the Indus region became a formal part of a vast, centralized empire. Persian administrators introduced new systems of governance, coinage, and taxation. The presence of Persian rule connected the subcontinent with the wider world, linking it to trade routes that stretched from Mesopotamia to Central Asia. Though their control was limited to the frontier, the Persians left a profound impact, preparing the stage for later encounters with other great powers. The Persian Achaemenids did not just raid, they governed. Darius I absorbed the regions of Gandhara and parts of Punjab into his empire. These areas, stretching along the Indus, became Persian satrapies, ruled directly by Persian governors. The use of coinage, the introduction of centralized taxation, and Persian artistic styles became part of daily life in these territories. Though their control did not extend to the heart of India, the northwestern frontier, modern-day Pakistan's Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, remained firmly under Persian influence for nearly 2 centuries. The Sakas, or Scythians, entered the subcontinent through the northwestern passes. They first settled in Punjab, later moving into Sindh and as far as Gujarat. By the 2nd century BCE, Scythian rulers established control over regions of western India, including Mathura. Their dominion was strongest in northwestern Punjab, Sindh, and western coastal India. Though fragmented, their presence reshaped trade and warfare in these territories, leaving behind coins and records of their rule. The Parthians followed the Scythians. By the 1st century CE, they controlled parts of Balochistan, Gandhara, and western Punjab. Their stronghold included Taxila, a cultural center of the time. From these bases, they influenced trade routes linking India to Central Asia. While their control did not spread deep into the Gangetic Plain, their authority in northwestern India, modern Pakistan, was firm. Taxila under the Parthians became a meeting point of Persian, Greek, and Indian cultures. For centuries, the Khyber and Bolan passes served as open doors into the subcontinent. Countless small tribal groups used them to raid Gandhara, Punjab, and Sindh. These raids rarely created lasting empires, but they kept the frontier regions unstable. Villages in Punjab and Gandhara bore the brunt of these attacks, constantly exposed to looting and shifting control. The foreign conquests succeeded because the subcontinent was divided. In the northwest, Gandhara and Punjab were vulnerable. Sindh had its own rulers, while eastern India was dominated by the rising Magadha kingdom. This political disunity meant that even small invaders could dominate localized regions, particularly Punjab, Sindh, and Gandhara, without fear of a united resistance. By the 4th century BCE, Gandhara, Punjab, and Sindh had all experienced foreign control. The Persians ruled Punjab and Gandhara, the Scythians settled in Sindh and Gujarat, and the Parthians held Taxila and Balochistan. These regions were fragmented and weakened, making them the perfect ground for Alexander's invasion. When he crossed into the subcontinent, he entered through Gandhara and Punjab, where earlier invaders had already paved the way. Before Alexander, the subcontinent was already a land touched by many outsiders. Aryans reshaped the Gangetic Plains, Persians ruled Gandhara and Punjab, Scythians settled in Sindh and Gujarat, and Parthians held Balochistan and Taxila. Each left their imprint on these regions, weaving the fabric of an interconnected history. Alexander's invasion would be dramatic, but it was not the first encounter. The frontier had already been softened by centuries of incursions. In the early 6th century BCE, the mighty Persian ruler Darius I extended his empire far beyond its western frontiers. His armies moved eastward, eventually absorbing parts of the Indus Valley into the Persian satrapy system. These regions included areas of present-day Sindh and Punjab. For the first time, parts of the subcontinent were governed as provinces of a foreign empire. Darius established tribute collection, administration, and trade routes that connected the Indus to the vast Persian Empire. This marked a turning point in the history of invasions, as the subcontinent became part of a powerful transcontinental empire. The Persian administration in the Indus region was not merely military occupation. It was a structured system of governance. Local rulers and farmers were taxed, while merchants carried Indian goods into the heart of the Persian Empire. Taxila, in particular, became a center of Persian power and influence. This integration introduced new forms of governance and exposed the Indus communities to cultural exchanges, languages, and artistic traditions from Persia. When Xerxes, the successor of Darius, prepared for his campaign against Greece, Indian soldiers were part of his massive army. This was the first time that soldiers from the subcontinent participated in wars far outside their homeland. It shows how the Persian conquest connected India to global events of the ancient world, making its people part of battles and lands they had never seen. Persian rule did not only bring taxes and armies. It also brought ideas, architecture, and cultural influence. From artistic styles to systems of writing and administration, Persia left a lasting mark on the Indus region. Taxila emerged as a hub where Persian, Indian, and Central Asian traditions merged, laying foundations for future cultural evolution. Over time, the Persian grip on the Indus weakened. Distance, local resistance, and the growing challenges in the western frontiers strained their control. Yet, the Persian presence had already introduced the idea that the subcontinent was not isolated, but part of wider empires. This awareness would pave the way for new waves of invasions. While Persia's power declined, a new force was rising in the west. In Macedon, a young king named Alexander dreamed of conquering the world. His gaze eventually turned east, toward the legendary riches of India. The Persian experience had shown that the Indus was reachable, and Alexander was determined to follow that path. By the time Alexander prepared his expedition, the people of Punjab and Sindh were no strangers to foreign powers. Stories of Persian tax collectors and soldiers still lived in memory. Trade routes carried not only goods but also the knowledge that the subcontinent was connected to empires beyond the horizon. Even after the Persians withdrew, their legacy remained. Administrative systems, taxation methods, and artistic influences lingered in Punjab and Sindh. The memory of foreign rule set the stage for how later invasions would be received and resisted in the subcontinent. The stage was now set for one of the most famous invasions in history. Alexander's campaign would not have been possible without the path carved earlier by the Persians. As the news of his march spread, the people of the Indus knew that another storm was about to break upon their land. The decline of Persia and the rise of Macedon marked a transition in the history of the subcontinent. From scattered raids to organized imperial rule, the invasions were no longer isolated events. They were part of a larger story in which India became an integral stage of global history.